I thought it would be kind of fun to share with you guys how I have my mobile ham radio installed and kind of what goes into that. And then I'm going to do a couple of things. I got to program a couple of frequencies. I got to reprogram some because they've changed them a little bit. So I'll kind of show you some tips and tricks on that. But I'll get into my setup and kind of what I'm going to be doing here in the near future to upgrade it a little bit. All right, so I have a Yaesu unit here, and it's a Yaesu Ft-1500m, and I've had this for quite a while now, and it's a pretty old radio. I think it's probably about 15 years old, 18 years old. The thing is with these older Yaesu radios, there's nothing, and if they're working, there's nothing really wrong with using them. Has a nice blue display. The buttons are a little bit inconvenient when it's mounted in this position because you have to kind of crank it down. But I noticed the newer ones, they put the buttons here. But the thing about these is they're a cast aluminum, so they're really tough. And I mean, they're rock solid units, and it's small too. I like the 1500 unit because it's tiny, and it's 50 watts, so it's no slouch. It'll get out there. To give you a comparison, my handheld unit that I use is 5 watts, and it does pretty well too. So I got to put a clip in here to hold that. But basically what I did is I mounted this thing, F250 Super Duty, right? So I mounted my ham radio under the dash. I'll show you down here a little bit better, right? And then I have my power wire going in right here. And then I also have my antenna wire, which is like tucked in right here. So what I did is I ran that under the carpet. I picked this carpet up a little bit, and I was able to kind of get under this kick panel right here. And then what happens is it comes out right, it's not the cleanest setup, but it comes out right here, kind of underneath this trim. And I haven't had any problems with it. It's been on there for years. And then what I use is, of course, just a classic mag mount. I don't know who it's made by. The power wires, which is right there, is of course fused right there, and it has a quick release, quick disconnect plug that goes to the radio. So that's plugged directly to the battery. Okay, so really simple setup. Really simple setup on that. You can unbolt it with an Allen wrench, and it comes off, and it's, I have this kind of metal mount, but this thing's really tough and mounted in there really solid. It doesn't even move. You can kind of rotate it if you want to. So the problem I'm having is that I've had these repeaters in this radio, or programmed into this radio, for so long that some of the frequencies have changed a little bit. So I have to kind of go and check. Now I know this frequency right here, this 147.040, is something that I can receive and transmit on, but let me show you. It doesn't work. KF7 test. It's not working. It's not opening up that repeater. And I know I can. So when you get into ham radio, it's good if you download this app called Repeater Book right there. Now and what it does is it'll start out and it'll show you all the repeaters that are closest to you, and you can do settings. You can say, all right, I want a 2 meter, and let's say you run 6 meter, you can turn that on, find those repeaters and stuff that's going on. You can also set how far. So I have max distance of 50 miles. 50. I could set that to whatever I want. I could do 100 miles. Go over here, and then I'll get repeaters within a 100-mile radius of wherever my location is. So where we are at, I got to look for that repeater. I'm pretty sure it's in Portland somewhere. Okay, all right. So I found the repeater. It's this 147.040 in Portland, and I'm going to click on this thing. I can see now that I have you probably can't see here, it says PL tone 100. So they put a PL tone on it. I don't have a PL tone on mine, so it's not coming in. So I have to program this thing manually to add that. I'm going to see if I remember how to do this. So we're going to turn this thing to tone. Let's see if I can find it. Tone. All right. Tone on. Oh, we got to turn it on. Tone is on. Now we got to go to tone frequency. Click it in, And we got to go to 100. And then we hold down and we should be saved. So now I'm going to do a little test and see if I can get in and talk to somebody. KF7, anybody be out there to give me a radio check by any chance? I heard it open up the repeater.
Your radio was clear, a little bit soft, but clear.
All right, great. Hey, thanks a lot. I had to add a PL tone, so just kind of checking it out. Thank you.
No problem. Yeah, the PL tones are kind of tricky. WX70R clear.
Thanks again. KF7 clear. So that's what that worked. See, I got a signal check. I got a radio check from a guy down in Portland or somewhere. Who knows where he was at? And he just gave me a clear. Gave me an all clear, so I'm sounding good. He was a little soft, a little scratchy too, but we're both totally readable. So that was pretty cool. So that's kind of how it works, guys. I have to go through and kind of look at all these frequencies and see, because they've changed them a little bit. So I have to go through and just make sure everything's updated. It's always a good idea, to use this software that you can, download in your phone. It's free. If you get into this thing, and then you can sort of look at your local area and go out as far as you want. The other thing that you can do is, if you plan ahead, and let's say you travel a long distance regularly, we go up to North Idaho. So what I do is I have a few frequencies programmed in that I know that are along the way, so I can, if I get into a bind, I can, I know that there's several of them along the way, and a few of them up there that are programmed into my radio as well. And so that actually helps you out. So you may need some help along the way. Maybe your phone's dead, or you're in an area where there's no cell phones. Ham radios work really, really well for that. So I'm transmitting probably 25 miles direct to the repeater. It's down in Portland. So it's pretty effective, and you just got to make sure everything's up to date. It's good to go do a couple of radio checks every now and then, talk to people just to make sure your gear's working. But that's basically it. I'm going to go program a couple more of these things, or make sure they're up to speed here, and just make sure that I get everything programmed in. So that is pretty much all I have for you right now. Thought you guys would be interested in that. They're sort of simple to set up. You just plug them in. Don't plug these things into a cigarette lighter circuit. It's just not going to have enough amperage on the wiring for that. They just they pull too many amps. They're pretty powerful little radios. So dedicate some power cable, straight to the battery. That will get you going. Plus, you won't deal with any of the electronics noise and all that kind of stuff, which adds to a lot of interference. So I hope you guys are doing well. I'll see you on the next one.